Hello. It's a cold fall morning in New York City. It's raining outside. I'm 12 years old. I'm sitting on the toilet. I hear my mother crying from her bedroom. She's crying because it's raining on her father's grave. He was just recently buried, and this is the first time it's rained since we left him in the cemetery. She thinks of him wet and cold and alone. She experiences fear and powerlessness, and her fear is familiar to me. My nightmares had begun 4 years prior when I was 8. I'm running, my pursuer is a clown and has no difficulty catching up to me. I hear his footsteps closing in. When he catches up to me, whatever I do to make him stop, a gun that doesn't fire or shoots water or plastic pellets, punches that move like I'm underwater, he just laughs. I'm powerless to stop him. Now, after my grandfather's death and seeing my mother's fear, I can name my own fear. That pursuer in my nightmares, that clown. It is death. 4 years later, I'm in the high school cafeteria. I take my tray and look at the options for where to sit. Each day I'm challenged by the doubt of where I belong, whether a group will accept me. I go to the empty auditorium. This is really actually depressing. Sorry. Merry Christmas. Okay. To sit in the dark. So I go to the empty auditorium to sit in the dark, and I cry at how ugly and out of place I feel, how painful it is to be seen by others. Classes are so much easier than lunch, where my identity and purpose are clear. My schedule tells me where to go and is the proof that I am where I belong. 2 years later, the summer before college, Oskaloosa, Iowa. I've come out here from New York City to work on a farm. I'm at the kitchen table with John Van Wyck Sr. and his wife, the farmers I'm staying with. The couple keeps the butter on the table at room temperature. They go through whole sticks of it so quickly that they don't need to worry about refrigeration. When they apply it to their toast, they do so by peeling lengthwise curls with a knife along the top of the bar. In this one act, they evince an undaunted courage, an absence of fear of death I had never seen before in my secular upbringing. They explain their sense of peace in anticipation of the afterlife as a result of their Christianity. I had begun to understand in high school that my fear of death, which had only gotten worse as I got older, was rooted in the meaninglessness of life. The way to overcome my fear of death was to discover life's purpose. If life had something I knew I was supposed to do, then I could do that thing and death would be okay. Christianity offered that life purpose I've been seeking, and so that summer I became a born-again Christian. A year later in college, Christianity had begun to feel, rather than an embrace of meaning, a mental gymnastics to daily persuade myself that it was the true path. I studied philosophy. I was on a journey that began with Plato and progressed through history, was headed for an understanding of the meaning of life and how to best live it. But the journey I discovered dead-ended with Descartes. After him, philosophy soured as it entered the 20th century, and deciding it couldn't know anything about the world settled in to understand itself. The New York Times was the next candidate for my life purpose. It seemed to have all the authority of God that I liked about Christianity and practical guidance about how to live the good life that appealed to me in philosophy. But having structure and an objective framework wasn't the same as having a life purpose. I longed to lose myself completely. I'm in a hotel room in Queens. I'm 23 years old, my first day in the Army. Tomorrow I leave for basic training. The recruiters drove me here from the Manhattan office where we first met. All I have with me is what they allowed on the packing list, a small backpack with one pair of underwear, socks, a t-shirt, and my toiletries. I lie in a twin bed in a hotel room I'm sharing with Dale, another recruit. I turn to Dale. He's lying in the bed next to me. Small talk we both know is irrelevant when we have something so big in common on which to focus. I ask him if I can turn off the lights. The recruiters told us we have to be downstairs for breakfast at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. 2 weeks later, we're standing outside the Chow Hall in formation for the group ahead of us to clear. It's a cold and rainy January evening in Georgia. We are at the reception battalion. I've been here for 2 weeks with hundreds of other recruits waiting for basic training to start. And I'm coughing. For 2 days now, I've been coughing all night, sweating through my bed sheets, waking up shivering, and I've been weak. The drill sergeant announces while we're in formation that tomorrow we start basic training. But I'm not ready for basic training. I want to start over. I want to go home. It's not fair that my body would steal away from me all the physical training for the past 6 months that I did to guarantee success. I despair that I'm sick the night before such an important day. But I have no choice. Yes, there was a choice to join, but I've given up choice hereafter. I'm not in control. The Army doesn't stop for my cold. I look up at the glass wall that separates where we stand from the chow hall and see the water flowing down the panes and rivulets. I see the moon through the clouds, the rain on the glass, and I begin to cry. I cry with relief because after years of trying to make meaning, the Army has finally come through. It says, you are a soldier. The purpose that you had to contrive for yourself without a world imbued with purpose, you no longer have to contrive. Don't struggle. Turn off your striving to make meaning. You are entering into a life of purpose, of order and discipline that doesn't shape itself around your schedule, but that will shape you around it. In the Army, you will be subsumed by a life purpose, able to return to the time when there wasn't the agony of free will. You are part of something bigger than you now. Thanks.